Parr headed it up about 20 years ago when he was riding the crest of an enormous popularity for hits like Mule Train and Lucky Old Son and 3 or 4 others. Last year he was our guest on Over Easy here, and the response was so good we had to have him back. Would you welcome him now, please? Frankie Laine.
You can gamble for matchsticks. You can gamble for gold. Stakes may be heavy or small, but if you haven't gambled for love and lost, you haven't gambled at all. Call me Moonlight Gambler. Well, I've gambled for love and lost. When I gamble for love, but it isn't in the cards. Oh, what heartaches it can cost me, win or lose. I'm a moonlight gambler, and a winner is all I long to be. So I'll gamble for love just as long as I live, till the day Lady Luck smiles down on me. Well, you can gamble for matchsticks, you can gamble for gold. Stakes may be heavy or small, but if you haven't gambled for love and lost, well, then you haven't gambled at all. No, if you haven't gambled for love in the moonlight, then you haven't gambled at all. So they call me the Moonlight Gambler. Yes, they call me the Moonlight Gambler.
Great. Good to hear you. Let's go on over here and chat for a second. That's a good... Did you record that?
Oh, yeah.
That was one of them.
Way back in 1957.
Was it 57?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I just hadn't associated it with records, I guess. But,
Yeah.
You know, I mentioned earlier that you were 17 years before you were known, but you weren't known like you were when Lucky Old Son came out. Or That's My Desire.
Well,
That really did it, didn't it?
Nobody knew, really.
Yeah.
Maybe a small little coterie in Hollywood when I was singing at Billy Berg's little swing club, you know, on Vine Street. But outside of that particular area, it wasn't until Al Jarvis began using me on a 3 times a week, 15-minute live show on a record show.
Yeah,
that's
right.
when
Sure.
they first began to hear the name at all.
There's a kind of a threshold that you reach, and then when you can be said to be famous. And once you've hit that, there's always a residue of that that's with you forever. That's part of history because you just became super visible.
I think if there's an extended period of, say, 5, 6, or 7 years where you have time to penetrate the public consciousness, not only in your own country but in other countries, you can be sure almost if you do right, let's say.
If you deliver, which you did, yeah.
And you can almost be sure of an extended period of time, no matter what happens record-wise, although it always helps to have a hit record.
It sure doesn't hurt any.
But,
what kept you going in those 17 years before that threshold was crossed?
Well, truthfully, I quit 5 times.
You did quit, huh?
Yeah, and I always went back when another opportunity seemed to be presenting itself. And then, of course, I got caught up in the factory defense plant routine during the war. And it looked like I was going to be stuck there. I tried to volunteer, but because I was on what they called a 2B classification, which meant skilled operator on a machine,
oh, I see.
I couldn't get out to enlist. And so they said, go back to the machine, which I did. But then after the termination of hostilities in June of 1945, I guess it was, I got fired along with I don't know how many other people, and I started looking around for something to do, and I had met Carl Fisher and started writing songs, and I thought that might be the opening wedge, but it didn't materialize. And then one night Slim Gaillard and Hoagie Carmichael got me a job at Billy Berg's. Slim called me up to sing. Hoagie Carmichael was in the audience, and I happened to be singing Rockin' Chair, which is a song he wrote. So he took me up to Billy. He says, hey, Billy, why don't you put this kid to work? The story now is legend, you know. And Billy
Sure.
says, what for? He comes in and sings every night for nothing, which was true. But he did hire me, and that was where it began.
Now, you have a lot of stability in your life, because once you hit that, it wasn't something that mangled you. The fame and money mangles a lot of people, as you know.
Well,
You've been married 28 years. You've
yeah.
had, you're on an even keel. Does that have anything to do with your heritage? Now, your parents came from Italy, and
Well,
you have that background.
Pa was always a pretty stable guy, and he was always, you know, trying to set an example about you got to watch the loot, and you got to be careful of expenses, and you got to make the dollar count. And of course, he was not against my singing, but he was always after me to try and get a trade or a business or something that, you know. And of course, all those years when I went from job to job, I always left whatever job it was to try again for singing.
Yeah.
And that sixth time at Billy Berg's is when it started. I don't know what I might have done had it not happened there. I might have said that that was it, I was going to quit. But it happened.
Are you doing clubs now almost exclusively? Or
No, we combine with, we're doing a lot of summer pop symphony stuff now.
That's right. That's it.
We do tours mostly in England. We're going to Australia in March and April.
You don't slow down a bit, though.
Oh, yeah. We only work 26 weeks a year.
I hadn't thought about that. You were doing the same at the same pace, but you were doing it 52 weeks a year, I
Yeah,
guess,
well,
before. What do you do in the other 26? Do you take it
Well,
easy?
this past summer, I took the whole summer off primarily to take care of Nan because she had back surgery. And it was a pretty brutal operation. She was on the table 5.5 hours.
How is she?
Now she's fine.
That's good.
They predicted probably a 6 months recuperation, you know, which will be up December 13th because she was operated on June 13th. And she couldn't even walk in the beginning. And she couldn't walk before the operation. But now she's doing fine.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. Would you sing for us again? Or
Stop
one
me.
more? Yeah. Well, I'm not going to try to.
Well,
what have we got?
This song is, we found it in England. It was written by a kid named Don Black, who's a pretty fine lyric writer. And we met him on a plane coming back to L.A. And he said, Frank, I got a song that was written just for you, you know, which you hear all the time. But this one was. So we recorded it. It's in an album that's been released in England. The album is called Life is Beautiful. We're trying to get the album released here momentarily, but I think it will not come out until after the holidays. And this song is called If I Never Sing Another Song.
If I Never Sing Another Song, Frankie Laine, and he will sing another one.
In my heyday, young girls wrote to me. Everybody seemed to have time to devote to me. Everyone I saw swore they knew me. Once upon a song, main attraction, you couldn't buy a seat. The celebrities all died to meet. I've had every accolade bestowed on me, and so you see, if I never sing another song, it shouldn't bother me. I've had my share of fame. You knew my name. If I never sing another song, or take another bow, I will get by, but I'm not sure how. All was posing. You get to love it all. So I tried to act like I was above it all. Everything I did, the world applauded. Once upon a star, frame citations hung on every wall. I got a scrapbook full of quotes, I can't recall them all. There were times I thought the world belonged to me, and so you see, if I never sing another song, it shouldn't bother me. I've had my share of fame. You knew my name. If I never sing another song or take another bow, I will get by, but I'm not sure how.